Immortal Demon of Konoha, the ninja who broke all rules. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 31. Looks like I'm still a little too early? At the invitation of Nara Shikahisa, Aoji naturally sat down on the opposite side of the coffee table. Mr. Yamanaka and Mr. Akimichi have not yet come, right? They should be on time. Shikahisa sat across from Aoji and poured him a cup of tea. It looks like your discussion with Lord Hinaka went well. Is it because I arrived early? Aoji smiled a little. As for my appointment with Lord Hinata, I probably didn't tell Mr. Shikaku beforehand, right? Did you judge it yourself? It's just a guess. Lu Jiu's expression was very relaxed. Now that you have firmly grasped the dark side, and you are deeply trusted by the 3 generations, you can be regarded as the number 2 person of the entire Wooden Leaf. So if it's not something extremely important, you're not going to come forward in person. And at the same time, I also met with the speakers of our 3 families of pigs, deer, and butterflies. It is foreseeable that what you are doing will greatly change the existing pattern of Konoha, so we will need the support of us ninjas. At least hope that we can remain neutral, right? Secondly, as soon as you took office, you directly eliminated the forces of Tuanzang, leaving no room for buffer. This shows that you have decided to make a complete break with Tunzang. Considering the role played by Tunzang in the fact of Uchiha's demise, one can roughly draw a hasty conclusion. Your ultimate goal is probably to return blood for blood, to fight tooth for tooth, and to destroy the Shimura clan, right? That's why we have to win over us ninjas, big and small, in advance, to minimize the impact of the incident. Of course, when it comes to the value of coordination, the Hyuga family is definitely the first, right? So I think on your itinerary, the Hyuga clan will only be in front of our 3 families. Shikahisa smiled at his chest. Based on the way you looked when you came in and the time you came here, I can only think that Hinataka is already on your side. It's really worthy of being a military division level think tank. Aoji said very sincerely, you can see through the essence of things with just a few appearances, and your wisdom is really intimidating. You've passed the prize. Lu Jiu waved his hand modestly. Unfortunately, he didn't know. Everything he reasoned about was in Aoji's calculations. Even if Yamanaka Liaren was in the flower shop, Aoji would delay a little longer, but he would still come here at least half an hour in advance to provide Shikaku with clues to reason. Including the little pride in his eyes, the curvature of the smile at the corner of his mouth. It was all deliberately observed by Lu Jiu. Even at the moment when he first became the commander of the dark forces, the direct purge of the forces of the root was not only to exclude dissidents, but also to release a strong hostile signal against Tunzang. He hoped that Tunzang would receive this signal. I also hope that others will accept this signal. All this is to pave the way for the destruction of the Shimura clan in the present Grand Place. Because as long as their hostility is called revenge, they can make other ninjas not worry too much about the fire burning themselves, so they can take an attitude of standing by or profiting from it. From now on, everything is going well. So, what do you think of my proposal? Aoji smiled and looked at Shikaku. Does this still need to be asked? Lu Jiu haha smiled. First of all, there must be 3 generations of support behind you, and now Hyuga is also talking with you. What are our options? Rest assured. I can give you an answer on behalf of those 2 now. Revenge is a natural reason, and Tuanzang has done many evils, and we pigs, deer, and butterflies will never help him. Does it mean to take a neutral attitude? Aoji had already guessed that this would be the result. It's great that you can make such a correct decision. Come, allow me to replace the wine with tea and toast you. Lu Jiu hurriedly raised his teacup. You're too polite. Now that the matter has been decided, I will first say goodbye, and when the 2 of you come over, please confess your sins for me. After taking a sip of clear tea, Aoji put down his cup. That's a big deal. Shikahisa hurriedly got up and sent Aoji to the door, and the 2 sides ended the harmonious conversation. Aoji left the clan land of the Nara clan. Today, I originally only planned to solve the attitude problem of the Hyuga clan and the Inaludai, but when I came out, I found that it was still early, and Aoji thought about it and decided to visit the Inuzuka clan station. But this time it was a little bit unsmooth. Inuzuka Claw and the Inuzuka clan was training several small ninja dogs, and the puppies began to bark wildly as soon as they saw Aoji. She had to put them all in cages. I'm really sorry, they're usually quite obedient, I don't know what's going on today. Inuzuka said apologetically. It doesn't matter, probably because I'm kind of like a bad guy. Aoji said with a smile. He looked at the woman in front of him with the afterglow of the corner of his eye. Not a beautiful face, very messy hair, slightly sharp animal pupils exude a wild smell, and the whole body is full of rough and luxurious breath. To be honest, this is not a particularly attractive woman. The only thing that deserves praise is probably her wild nature. It is easier to arouse the inner desire of others to conquer. Aoji remembers that she was the mother of Inuzuka, one of the 12 strongest, and gave birth to a daughter named Inuzuka Hana. So, is Inuzuka at home? Episode 32. You're kidding. Hearing Aoji say that he was like a bad person, Inuzuka suddenly laughed. If you look like a bad person, then no one is like a good person. Fortunately, my daughter is not at home, otherwise. That girl will definitely be mesmerized by your handsomeness. Inuzuka smiled and patted Aoji's shoulder. Then again, you're not married yet, are you? Do you want to think about my daughter? Oh, almost forgot, you're with Sunset Red. Is it really the same rough personality as the appearance? It doesn't matter, as long as I don't mind love, I can take a heart. Aoji said with a smile. Then you have to pass me first. Inuzuka only thought that Aoji was joking, and smiled and waved his hand. By the way, I remember that you are now the leader of the Dark Ministry, right? Is it official to come to us this time? There's really one thing I want to talk to you about. Aoji glanced at the few little ninja dogs that were still barking in the cage, and then turned his head and said, Can we go into the house and talk? Of course you can. Inuzuka nodded quickly and led Aoji into his house. I'll go and pour you a glass of water. Inuzuka beckoned Aoji to sit down in a chair at the dining table, then turned and walked into the kitchen. Aoji took the opportunity to take a look at his surroundings. The 2 small rooms are obviously the kitchen and bathroom, and there are 3 doors in the direction of turning left, which should be 3 bedrooms. This is obviously an ordinary residence. Neither shabby nor generous. But there is a strong breath of life. Aoji has been to the mansion of the Hyuga clan and the boutique residence of the Nara clan today, and the house of Inuzuka Claw is obviously the most rudimentary. Correspondingly, the status of the Inuzuka clan is not high. The Inuzuka clan is known for training ninja dogs and beast-like ninja techniques, but the effect is not strong in actual combat, although the ninja's sense of smell can be used to track enemies, but Kiba does not lack perceived ninjas. And the Inuzuka clan has a serious shortage of elite ninjas. Even Inuzuka, who is a representative figure, is only a special ninja, and it is conceivable what grade the other clans are. Not necessarily because they don't have talent. It is more likely that the upper limit of the Inuzuka clan's secret ninjutsu itself is extremely low, and it is even more difficult to touch the threshold of the upper ninja with the imitation beast ninjutsu. Therefore, the Inuzuka clan can only be regarded as a small ninja clan in Konoha. Neither status nor income can be compared with ninjas such as Hyuga or Inoshika. Therefore, for Aoji, it is an existence that can be swallowed without being swallowed. Anyway, they only have those 3 or 2 pieces of meat. Huh? Aishi, who was looking around, suddenly saw a shrine with a picture of a middle-aged man in the picture frame placed on it. There is also a residual incense stick in the incense burner in front of the picture frame. This man is probably Inuzuka's husband, right? Aoji walked to the front of the shrine and looked at the man's face. The man looked straight into the camera while taking the photo. Therefore, when Aoji examines the photo, there is a feeling that the other party is looking at himself. This made him a little bit interested. Although it is not as good as a beast, if you can brutally trample the dog Tsukasa in front of this posthumous photo, you must have a great sense of guilt, right? Unfortunately, this idea has not yet been put into practice. After all, this is the clanland of the Inuzuka clan, and once the movement is too large, it is easy to attract people from the Inuzuka clan. And even if no one shows up, it's hard to end it when it's over. After all, Inuzuka Claw is not a prisoner like a princess. You can't kill her, can you? Less than a last resort, Aoji was reluctant to destroy the flowers, and even if Inuzuka was killed, the matter could not be over, and it was bound to cause a lot of trouble. Just for this meager interest, it is not worth taking such a risk. Unless you use a demon passport. As long as this prop is used, it can be like the original Yuri Red, leaving no trouble, but Inuzuka Claw is different from Yuri Red, and her only bright spot is that wildness. It's a wild nature that makes people want to conquer as much as they want. If the demon passport is used, that wild nature will be gone. What's the point of playing that? That kind of picture belongs to my dead husband. Inuzuka walked out with hot tea and saw Aoji standing in front of the shrine and quickly said, he died while on a mission. He was tortured by the enemy for a long time before he died, but he never leaked any information. Inuzuka Paws proudly raised his chest. It's no secret, I'm very proud to have such a husband. Zuanfu is indeed a ninja worthy of respect. Aoji praised it very cooperatively, and then walked over to the table and took the teacup handed by Inuzuka Claw. I am back to the truth, this time I am here on behalf of the dark side to cooperate with you. Cooperation? What's the combination? Inuzuka sat down with a big grin and scratched his head in confusion. Is there anything we Inuzuka clan can do to help the Dark Ministry? Episode 33. Yes, I am ready to set up a new department in the near future. Aoji said slowly, since the collapse of our Uchiha clan, the garrison has only an empty shelf, and although the 3 generations have added some manpower, it is not enough to solve the problem after all. So I'm going to do another reform. From now on, the garrison will be transformed into a patrol department, with teams of 3, at least 1 in each group, patrolling their respective defense areas every day according to different routes to maintain law and order and prevent vicious cases. At the same time, I hope to equip each group with a ninja dog to sniff, track, and assist them in their work. Aoji smiled, so I hope we can work together and it will be up to you to breed and domesticate ninja dogs, and provide them to the inspection department after they pass the test. I will pay the full cost of the breeding and domestication of ninja dogs. And after each ninja dog is handed over to the inspection department, I will give a part of the reward to the Inuzuka clan, and if your clan is willing, you can give priority to signing up to work in the inspection department. Inuzuka's claws immediately showed a heartwarming look. The Inuzuka clan's life is relatively poor, after all, domesticating ninja dogs is a very expensive thing in itself, but now as long as you cooperate with Aoji, the family's income and status can be greatly improved. Regarding the establishment of the inspection department, did the 3 generations of adults know about it? Of course. Aoji nodded. 3 generations of adults are very resigned to my proposal. Of course he was lying. But for today's Aoji, his will is the will of 3 generations, and such a lie is no different from the truth. Then there will be no problem. Inuzuka said loudly, I agreed to this on behalf of the Inuzuka clan. We will definitely fully support the work of the inspection department. Well, as to the amount of subsequent remuneration, I will provide you with a detailed information. Aoji smiled kindly. After all, we have only confirmed the intention of cooperation, and the specific details of all aspects are still debatable. Of course, we will never let the Inuzuka clan suffer. Inuzuka nodded with satisfaction. The fact that Aoji had intimidated daimyo some time ago had already spread in the ninja world, and of course different people had different views. Some people thought he was rebellious, but more people appreciated him. Inuzuka Claw is the kind of person who is very sympathetic to his actions. She was also well aware that Aoji's actions not only raised the status of ninjas in the world, but also brought a lot of money to Kiba, so she was convinced of the rich rewards he promised. How soon will the specific statutes come out? Inuzuka asked impatiently. Normally, it's a week or so. Aoji said calmly, but it may also delay a little. After all, I will destroy the Shimura clan first, and then I will have time to deal with this matter. Wiped out the Shimura clan? Inuzuka's eyes widened in surprise. Why are you doing this? Due to the low status of the Inuzuka clan, some confidential information is inaccessible, so she does not understand the role of Tunzang in the demise of Uchiha. Naturally, he couldn't understand why Aoji was targeting the Shimura clan. This is my personal revenge. Aoji gave a very reasonable motive. After I took over the position of captain of the Dark Ministry, I found out that Tunzang had been pushing for Uchiha's demise, so I wanted him to pay the price. As for the Inuzuka clan, to be honest, I have a good feeling for you. Aoji said slowly, that's why I hope to do my part so that the Inuzuka clan can develop together with Kiba, and I think you can understand my position against Tunzang, right? That, of course. Inuzuka, who had always had a thick line, finally understood what Aoji meant, and he was bribing himself to his side with profits. If you don't want to be in the same camp as him, then the cake of the inspection department will definitely be distributed to others. For the Inuzuka clan, who are not interested in the wood leaves, such a cake is definitely impossible to eat even if you want to. Inuzuka didn't want to miss such an opportunity. Well, I won't bother too much. Aoji stood up satisfactorily. I don't really want to hide it. Tuanzang will soon be destroyed, and we will definitely cooperate happily at that time. It's our pleasure. Inuzuka said hurriedly. As a ninja, she has a force beyond ordinary people, but in the face of the temptation of money and interests, her resistance is not stronger than that of ordinary people, even if her personality has always been heroic and uninhibited. Once they had a huge interest entanglement with each other, she unconsciously shortened Aoji's head. The tone of his speech also became respectful. This Friday, you symbolically send out a few people to show that you are taking sides. Aoji said very casually, I will handle other things on my own, and I will not make it difficult for you to do it. Then next Monday, I'm sorry for you to come to Uchiha's clan in person, and we'll talk about the details of the cooperation face to face. Then you can take the photo of your deceased husband with you. Although it is only my personal opinion, I believe that this cooperation will allow the Inuzuka clan to take off. As Aoji walked toward the door, he said casually, at such an important moment, if you can let Zuanfu witness it with your own eyes, I believe that his spirit in heaven will definitely feel relieved. I see. Inuzuka nodded heavily. Although she felt that Aoji's final request was a bit strange, she had always been a lazy personality, and since the other party had asked for it and given a reason, she felt that it didn't matter if she agreed. She didn't know she would regret the decision. Episode 34. Has the message been confirmed? Tenzing in the dark room looked at his men coldly, that Aoji has already begun to contact the other ninjas, and is going to join forces against me? It should be correct. The subordinate nodded. According to the eyeliner we planted in those ninjas, although we can't determine the specific content of their conversation, all indications indicate this result. Interesting, really interesting. Tuanzing's eyes flashed a cold light. This young man threatened the daimyo, and now that he has pointed his sword directly at my Shimura clan, it seems that he really wants to do a big job. So, how do we respond? The subordinate made a neck-cutting gesture. Do you want to strike first? Then you have fallen into the trick of Aoji. Tenzing sneered. I can see now that although this young man is radical, he is bold and careful, and he must know that the behavior of contacting the major ninja clans will be detected by me. But he barely made any cover-ups, which shows that he doesn't mind being heard by me. In short, he was deliberately leaking the news. Tuanzing's gaze became more and more cold. Everyone is a member of Konoha. If you want to eliminate the other party, you must either provoke the other party's internal strife, or you must charge the other party with serious crimes. Now that I am innocent, the Shimura clan will not be in civil strife, and even if Seiji wants to eliminate us, he will not find the name to do it. That's why he wants to provoke me to shoot in this way. Just as the so-called rabbit is dead and the fox is sad, those ninjas have no reason to help Aoji kill the Shimura clan. At most they will remain neutral, and he himself should understand this. So, what he's doing now is just bluffing. He wants to create the illusion that many parties have joined forces, create huge psychological pressure on me, force my dog to jump the wall, force me to make mistakes, and force me to take the initiative. Tenzing said coldly, once I take the initiative to seize the opportunity, he will have the opportunity to seize my handle and get a reason to attack me. So it's all his trickery? The man said in surprise. Exactly. Tenzing nodded coldly. The more this kind of moment, the more we must calm down and never let Aoji's plot succeed. The Lord is wise. The subordinate felt admiration from the bottom of his heart. The leader of his family is worthy of being a scheming man. The vision is long-term. However, he did not know that Tenzing's thinking was completely within Aoji's calculations. Whether it is to press the soldiers and stay still, or to attack first to be strong, the two roads in front of Tuanzing are dead ends. No matter how he chooses, the final result is the same. He had long since been unable to escape, and there was no escape. The verdict of fate was soon delivered to Tenzing. It's Friday. There were many more guests in Tenzing's old lair, led by the handsome face of Aoji. Behind him stood many other ninjas. What do you want to do when you come uninvited? Tenzing still maintained a semblance of composure, scanning the crowd with gloomy eyes. His brain was rapidly analyzing the situation. Hinata, the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, was personally present, and Inuzuka Claw, a representative of the Inuzuka clan, also appeared, indicating that they were already in the camp of Aoji. The three families of Pig Deer Butterfly and the Oil Girl clan are ordinary people, and it seems that they want to remain neutral, at least on the surface. The situation is more serious than imagined. But it shouldn't be a dead end. Tuanzing subconsciously made a judgment and couldn't help but take the initiative to say, if you are here as a guest, I'm sorry, I don't welcome you. If you are here to ask questions, please show evidence. I have a couple of letters here, all written by the Itachi himself. Aoji pulled out a few pieces of paper. So what? Tenzing said with a calm face. As we all know, Itachis are murderers of their relatives and ruthless scum. Aoji said coldly, but according to the contents of these letters, you are the real culprit behind the command of the Itachi. You're spewing people in blood. These letters must all be fake. Tenzing angrily reprimanded. He is absolutely confident in this. Because although he has been tempting the Itachi to betray his relatives, he has never had a letter with the Itachi by nature. I'm sorry, but the letter is true. A member of the Nara tribesmen in the crowd said, the experts of the intelligence class have examined this in detail. Everyone else nodded as well. Ever since Aoji had taken out the letters, they had also suspected that the thing was fake, but they were later punched in the face by the facts, and the letters were confirmed to be impossible to forge. Because they were originally written by the Itachi at that time at the behest of Aoji. It really couldn't be more true. This made Tenzing's position very embarrassing. Although the overthrow of Uchiha is the consensus of the various ninja clans, although we all know that Tenzing is indeed the driving force behind it, these things are not visible, and once they are poked out, the situation is different. Since Aoji had a real handle, he naturally had an excuse to make trouble. We Uchiha are the founders of the Wooden Leaf, but now we have been destroyed by you evil ghost. Aoji looked at Tenzing coldly. Everyone is a member of Kiba, you are conceiving a conspiracy to kill your compatriots, and now that the evidence is conclusive, what else do you have to say? Tuanzang's face suddenly turned blue and white. It's hard for him to refute. You can't say that you Uchiha died entirely on your own, but the ninjas here actually knew about it, right? That would only make his situation worse. Episode 35. I repeat, that letter was forged. Tuanzang said with a calm face, 10,000 steps back, even if the letter is true, what can it mean? Who is a Itachi? A man who slaughters his own family. What he said simply couldn't be trusted. The credibility of the letter is easy to verify. Aoji said lightly, the Itachi made it clear in the letter that the main purpose of your persuasion to destroy the Uchiha clan was to study and write the Wheel Eye, and you asked him to hand over a large number of Uchiha corpses to you. Nonsense. There is no such thing at all. Tenzing did not hesitate to firmly deny it. This is the end of the matter, and denial is useless. Aoji smiled and shook his head. My undercover has found that people with roots in the Uchiha cemetery have been infested, and almost all the bodies of the clans have been exhumed. How do you explain this? My explanation is simple, what you say is slander. Tenzing snorted coldly, I sent someone to dig up the bodies of the Uchiha people? Where is the evidence? Where is the corpse? The body must have been destroyed by you a long time ago, but... Aoji's expression easily hit the key point of Tenzing. Those writing wheel eyes on the corpse that you took away are the evidence that absolutely cannot be denied. Lord Hinata, I'm going to trouble you. A small thing. The forehead horns of the sun foot instantly burst out of the vicious green tendons, and through the white eye, they saw through the bandages on Tuanzang's body. Sure enough, it was covered with arms that were covered with writing wheel eyes. Hinata said what he saw truthfully, I see that the color of the arm has been modified, and there is a figure of a human face on the arm. Apparently, Tuanzang was conducting human trials on himself. The other ninja people changed their faces. Tuanzang is even more sunken as water. He had woken up to the fact that by now, there was no room for debate. Now the facts are clear. Aoji said in a timely manner, Mustila also mentioned in the letter that the entire Shimura clan was aware of this matter, and you are the co-planners. In the face of his accusations, Tenzing did not refute them. Because it doesn't make sense. He suddenly let out a long sigh and accepted the fact that he had failed, so? What's next for you? I want the Shimura clan to disappear from here. Aoji said lightly, all ninjas of the Shimura clan will either have to kill themselves or die, and all ordinary people of the Shimura clan will either give up their surnames and leave Konoha, or they will have to die. All your family property will be taken into public ownership. Aoji said coldly, this is our final decision. You did the right thing. Tenzing nodded with a wooden look, if I were you, I would do the same. Thank you for your understanding. Aoji nodded. Tenzing turned his head to look at the others present, but I must warn you, if you don't unite against this person, sooner or later you will follow in the footsteps of the Shimura clan. Unfortunately, no one bothered to pay attention to his words. Because that's the lament of the loser. By the way, you, the biggest culprit, have sentenced you to death. Aoji's eyes looked coldly at Tenzing, and I, the executor. My death sentence is not so easy to execute. Tenzing untied the bandage wrapped around his right arm, maybe you'll go one step ahead of me. Then give it a try. Aoji opened the Eternal Kaleidoscope, and his scarlet eyes looked directly at Tenzing, I give you a fair fight. He usually doesn't like to do it himself. As a high-powered leader, when encountering an enemy, he should be done by his subordinates, and there is no way to charge the battlefield himself. But this time, the situation is slightly different. After all, the ninja's world worships the strong, and now that witnesses of various ninja clans are here, Aoji feels the need to properly display his power in order to establish authority and strengthen his dominance. And so a crushing battle began. When Tenzing was preparing to launch an attack with the wind escape, the space on his body suddenly twisted, and his head was strangled by the invisible force and disappeared. This is the power of God. The other ninjas present were shocked to see this move. No matter how strong or low, they are very knowledgeable. This move of Aoji obviously uses the power of time and space, and it can kill all of them in the case of preemptive hand. But Tenzing did not die like this. After the headless body fell, another regimental Zong appeared out of thin air and attacked Aoji again. This is Izanagi? Hinata had already heard Aoji mention it, and he suspected that Tenzing was deliberately collecting the writing wheel eye in order to cast the incomparably powerful Izanagi and change cause and effect, and even death could be invalidated. But even so, Tenzing's resistance was still powerless. He was killed countless times by Aoji using Amaterasu and Kamui, but was never able to break through Susanu's absolute defenses, and finally died in the real world after being tortured in the world of Tsukiyomi. The whole battle didn't even hurt even one of Aoji's nails. This made everyone present extremely impressed. Being able to easily kill such a difficult opponent, Aoji obviously has the strength to be at least above the shadow level, as Sanshiro said. But what they don't know is that these strengths are just the tip of the iceberg that Aoji has revealed. Whether it was the space conversion ability of Shinwei, the ability of Flying Thunder God to jump time and space, or the ability to use Shinwei to virtualize the body, Aoji did not use it deliberately. Because these are the ability to save lives at critical moments. He was reluctant to expose it easily. Episode 36. In Konoba's ninja circle, Tunzang's death was of course a big event. The demise of the Shimura clan is also lamentable. But for the ordinary people who lived in the village, these fights in the ninja world basically had no impact on them. Especially Her Royal Highness, the princess, is a prisoner of such ranks. It is even more unaffected. Since coming to Konoha, she has lived an almost isolated life, and although she does have the freedom to move around the village, she still feels that she lives in a bird cage. And often have nightmares. In the dream, there is a demon with a handsome face and a kind smile, who always ruthlessly ravages her self-esteem and makes her collapse little by little in a mood that seems to be sad and joyful. He never even asked her name. It made her feel even more miserable. Because she found that she was not a person in the eyes of the other party at all. It is an item used for fun. What he wanted was not her at all, but a symbol of nobility, called a princess. It humiliated her. She had wanted to take revenge on the other by destroying herself. But eventually the idea was abandoned. Because there is still a young brother who needs her to take care of, if she imposes herself irresponsibly, how can the younger brother survive? So she could only continue to endure, and desperately make herself strong. And then stick to it and survive. The only thing to be thankful for was that the demon seemed to have something big to do lately, and hadn't been here for a long time. It was a rare time of tranquility in this cottage. However, even if he reappears, there is nothing to be afraid of. The princess has already made up her mind to endure the pain. Even if she abandons herself, it doesn't matter, as long as she can protect her brother. With this in mind, she opened the door to see her brother, who was playing in the grass outside. Then what appeared before her eyes was the gentle demon was sitting on a wooden bench in the grass, holding a kite that had been put into the sky with a silk thread. Her lively brother was chattering around the demon. The whole person seemed very happy and excited. But when the princess saw the man at a glance, her face instantly turned a miserable white. It was clear to her that a new round of nightmares was about to begin. But becoming stronger, she decided not to back down any longer, and slowly walked over with heavy steps. Finally meet again, Your Royal Highness the Princess. Aoji showed a very sunny smile and greeted the princess. There are some things that need to be dealt with in the past few days, so I haven't come to see you for a long time. I hope the princess doesn't mind. Now that it's over, I'll come over any time in the future. Ah, yes. Aoji picked up the oil paper bag placed on the picnic table and handed it to the princess with a smile, the mouth of the bag still emitting a hot fresh air. I bought sugar-fried chestnuts in the chestnut house. Do you want to taste it? No thanks. The princess barely managed to squeeze out a smile. Oh, sister, just taste it. The 5-year-old brother was full of innocence and shook the princess's arm very attentively. This is really delicious. I couldn't eat this in the palace before. I really don't want to eat it. The princess still shook her head. The younger brother immediately stammered. Since my sister has no appetite, don't force her. Aoji said with a smile. Can you give it to me? The younger brother was obviously hungry. You can only eat 2 more at most. Aoji smiled a little. You have already eaten your own portion. If you continue to eat, you will not be able to eat at night. If you don't eat all the time, you won't grow tall in the future. Then I'll only eat 2. The younger brother nodded obediently. No food. Seeing her brother listen to Aoji's words like this, a nameless fire surged in the princess's heart, and she grabbed the oil paper bag almost uncontrollably and threw it out. The scattered chestnuts rolled to the ground. Wow. The younger brother was startled by his sister and suddenly stood where he was and cried, Sister is a bad person. Sister is the bad guy. You can't say that about sister. Aoji showed a displeased expression and reached out and rubbed his brother's hair. In this world, there is no one who cares about you more than your sister, and you will make your sister very sad when you say this. But I think the big brother is better for me. The younger brother was still in tears. He was too young to understand that Aoji had trampled on his father and mutilated his 2 older brothers, only to know that since moving to Kiba, the older brother had always come to visit him and his sister. And he is also very patient with him, and often buys him snacks and toys. He felt that there was no better person in this world. Since you think that the big brother is good to you, you must listen to the big brother's words more. Aoji said seductively, now that big brother wants you to apologize to your sister, will you let big brother down? Me, I won't. The younger brother thought about it, but still came to the princess, bowed his head and said weakly, sister, I was wrong. You. The princess was so angry that she almost trembled, and without turning her head, she ran back to the hut, slipped into her quilt and covered her head and cried. She had realized something terrible. Sooner or later, his brother will be completely controlled by Aoji and become a pawn he uses to control the Fire Nation. There is no future for this country anymore. Sister, what's wrong with this? The younger brother found that his sister had suddenly run away, and he felt even more hurt. I have obviously told her that I am sorry. Maybe my sister is too sad, isn't she? Aoji handed the kite handle to his brother and stood up from the wooden bench leisurely. Let me go in and comfort her. The kite will be handed over to you to play. Remember not to disturb us. After all, children like to play, and with kites to play with, the younger brother immediately forgot about the unhappiness just now. He grinned and took the kite's grip. Then he leaned his head back and happily pulled the silk thread, making the kite in the sky rise and fall. He didn't know he was in Aoji's eyes. It's just a kite. Aoji walked leisurely into the exquisite log cabin, like a man returning from a walk in the garden. He calmly closed the door. Episode 37. Another Monday morning. Calamus was busy in the shop as usual, and she and her father were hand-to-hand to receive customers. Or a bowl of pork bone ramen. As the curtain was lifted, a familiar figure walked in. It was Aoji, who had just exercised in the wooden house. After some intense exercise, he was indeed a little hungry now. Then I remembered Ichiraka ramen. After seeing Aoji's handsome face, Calamus's eyes immediately lit up. But it soon dimmed again. After squeezing out a smile and beckoning him to sit down, she took the initiative to go to the kitchen to get busy. I was stunned by the hand standing behind the counter. Ever since the last time Aoji came to the ramen shop as promised and tasted the ramen carefully and secretly made by Iris, Tetsumi realized that her daughter liked each other, so much so that she often looked confused when doing things. He knew his daughter would be like that because he was thinking about the other person. According to his idea, since Aoji was in the store again, her daughter should be very happy, at least staying at the counter to greet each other, instead of going to the kitchen to grab her own work. I always feel that this kind of performance is not like the past her. The hand scratched his head in doubt. As a man, of course, he could not understand the delicacy of the girl's mind, even if the other party was the daughter he had raised for many years. Calamus's heart, for Aoji, did not change. Every time she saw Aoji in the store, she had a heartfelt joy, and every time Aoji disappeared, she had an indescribable panic, afraid that she would not be able to see each other again. But gradually, she had a new emotion. Although she had never had a relationship, she was not a fool, and later she had realized that if Aoji thought he was cute and if he felt moving, how could it take a long time to appear? So he should be uninterested in himself, right? He is so handsome, so gentle, usually there will be many girls like him, and he is just a background board in the crowd. Even if you take the initiative to talk, even if you take the initiative to show your beauty, in the end I am afraid it will not help. He was certainly not attractive in his eyes. Such thoughts grew like weeds, making the Calamus feel very lost in the tormented mood. Therefore, when Aoji appeared again, she was even more afraid to go up and talk, because she was afraid that her idea was right, and she was afraid that no matter how she behaved, she would only be treated as a passerby by the other party. That's why she went into the kitchen after seeing Aoji. She didn't want to let herself down again. Rather than let her own speculations become reality, she prefers to fantasize in a vision. Your ramen, please use it slowly. After bringing the steaming ramen bowl to Aoji, Calamus turned around and prepared to hide in the kitchen again. However, this time Aoji took the initiative to talk. By the way, the secret ramen you studied last time, is there any new progress now? Aoji showed a sincere smile. Although the last work was a little green, but it is already very brilliant in all aspects. I am still looking forward to your finished product. It's almost still that smell. Calamus stopped and said very quietly, things have been busy in the shop lately, so I haven't paid much attention to the study of secret ramen. Really? It seems that the business is too good and hard. Aoji pulled out his chopsticks and tore open the paper bag. Then can you tell me about the next research and development ideas? Of course. Although he had told himself not to have unrealistic expectations, Calamus's heart melted in Aoji's whispers. And so the two men began to talk. Of course, it was mainly Calamus who was there to tell the story, and Aoji listened while eating noodles. Occasionally, a few words will be interjected. After eating the noodles, Aoji did not hesitate to be present and directly invited Irises. Can you accompany me out for a walk? Well, that. Yes, yes. Calamus blushed and nodded, before turning her head to look at the hand behind the counter, and her eyes showed the meaning of asking for consent. Then let's go out for a walk. He waved his hand cheerfully. It's enough for me to take care of things in the store alone. He had a good impression of Aoji, so he was happy to match them. It's a pity that he is not a ninja after all. Although many of the customers in the store are ninjas, no one talks about the news of the ninja world with Tetsuba, so he has no idea that Aoji is in high power or that he already has Yukiheim. So he had no idea that he had pushed his daughter into someone else's harem. Of course, even if he knew those things, he wouldn't be able to stop all this, because Aoji's will was simply not something he could oppose. Do you have anything you want to tell me? Walking on the bustling streets, the Calamus with its head bowed is a little shy. Maybe such an explanation is superfluous, but I do want to tell you something. Aoji said slowly, after leaving the garrison, I was transferred to the position of captain of the Dark Ministry, and I have some very important work to complete, so I will always come and go. There were some missions that were so dangerous that I couldn't even guarantee that I would come back alive. So there's something I never told you. Aoji turned his head to look at Calamus, his eyes sincere and moving. Actually, when I first met you, I was already touched by you, although it was very sudden, but would you like to associate with me? Episode 38. Aoji's words were like an arrow wrapped in honey, easily hitting the heart of the young girl Kaiharu of Calamus. She simply couldn't refuse Aoji. You must treat me well in the future. Calamus shyly pulled the ends of her hair and agreed to Aoji's confession with the expectation of love. There was a dreamlike sweetness in her heart. Even if he didn't bring a bouquet of flowers, even if he just said a few words calmly. But at the same time as feeling sweet and happy. She had some worries again. You say some missions are very dangerous? Calamus stared at Aoji with great concern. Then have you been hurt in any way? Do I need to take that risk later? I've never been injured. Aoji smiled calmly, and now that I've been promoted, I'm more or less a leader, and I don't need to go out on a mission in the future, and I basically don't have the opportunity to fight the enemy. That's good, or else. Calamus bowed her head and said very quietly, when I think of the danger you may encounter, I will definitely be worried that I will not be able to sleep. Rest assured. Aoji's voice was as gentle as a spring breeze. In order not to let you be afraid, I will definitely take good care of myself. So are you busy with your work? Calamus couldn't help asking. The busyness is almost over, and it should be idle for a while. Aoji told the truth. Now that he had successfully destroyed the Shimura clan, it was not convenient for him to attack the other ninjas for the time being, otherwise no matter how legitimate the reason he came, the remaining ninja clans would definitely endanger themselves. At that time, they will most likely join hands against Aoji. Just like now against Tunzang. Aoji had long regarded Kiba as his property, and naturally did not want too serious internal friction to occur, and it was only because of the imperative to kill the Shimura clan. After all, he was playing the banner of revenge. But there is absolutely no need to be so radical with the remaining ninjas. Although the ultimate goal is to swallow them up one by one, it is completely possible to infiltrate them in advance, manipulate what can be controlled, pull together can be pulled, differentiation can be differentiated, and then eliminate what must be eliminated. If they are all killed, then in the end the leaves will be left with only an empty shelf. Aoji didn't want to mess with himself. Of course, trying to absorb the people of other ninja clans into their own camp as much as possible is obviously a slow and delicate task. It takes a lot of time and patience. It's just that as a high-powered leader, the current Aoji only needs to control the overall situation, and the remaining details naturally have excellent subordinates to do it, and he will not need to worry about too many things. So in the days to come, he will indeed be more idle. If you're not so busy, Calamus said with some embarrassment, then can you come to see me more in the future? Of course. Aoji naturally took Calamus's hand. Even if you don't say it, I'll come over often, because I can't resist the urge to see you. Greasy mouth, slippery tongue. Calamus snorted on her lips, but she felt very sweet in her heart. The two of them walked around again for a while. Today is the Monday of the appointment with Inuzuka Claw, and counting the time, now she is afraid that she is about to arrive at Uchiha's clan. She may even have passed. At the thought of this, Aoji turned his head to look at Calamus again. Although I have only been with you for a while, I am afraid that I will have to leave earlier, and I remembered that I had an appointment with a guest and met today. It's okay, I can understand that. Calamus nodded obediently. So the two separated. Calamus walked lightly toward the Ichiraka ramen shop, and Aoji strode toward the Uchiha clan in the opposite direction. Then he found out that Inuzuka had indeed arrived here ahead of schedule. She is clearly very interested in cooperation. So Aoji took her into the Uchiha clan protected by the enchantment and came to the dojo in the new home complex for him to practice ninjutsu. Why talk in such a place? Inuzuka looked around curiously and saw that there were no tables and chairs here, and it was not a very suitable place for conversation. Because the sound insulation here is very good. Aoji explained with a smile, no matter what's going on inside, you can't hear anything outside, and I never allowed Yuri to come here, so no one will bother us. Is it? Inuzuka scratched his hair with some embarrassment, always feeling that Aoji's explanation was a bit inexplicable. After all, the cooperation between the two sides was not a bad thing. But her attention was quickly diverted. Because Aoji came up with the document she cared about most, it was a detailed plan for the cooperation between the Inuzuka clan and the inspectorate. She was very satisfied after reading it. All the terms given by Aoji are so favorable to the Inuzuka clan that she is completely embarrassed to bargain anymore. At this time, Inuzuka's favor for Aoji was almost exploding. As long as the two sides can reach a stable long-term cooperation, the income of the Inuzuka clan is bound to climb to a new level. Know that money is also a power. The cost of training a good ninja is high, and although the rewards will be amazing, it is difficult for the Inuzuka clan in the middle and lower reaches to afford such a high cost. Now with such a high extra income, the Inuzuka clan has every chance to get out of more and stronger ninjas. You have been so nice to us. Inuzuka said excitedly, our entire family will never forget your favor. Compared to what you give, it's nothing. My efforts? Inuzuka felt even more confused. How could this young man who looked younger than his daughter always play dumb puzzles? By the way, did you bring a photograph of your husband? Aoji did not answer the rhetorical question. Oh, I brought. Inuzuka took the photo of his dead husband from his arms, and finally felt that something was wrong. Please forgive me for taking the plunge. Aoji took the photograph from Inuzuka's hand and placed it on the edge of the dojo, adjusting the angle of the front of the photo so that the line of sight in the photo was directly in the center of the dojo. What are you doing? Inuzuka asked curiously. Nothing. Aoji casually made a perfunctory remark, and then walked over and closed the door of the dojo. Of course, there is something I am afraid I have to state beforehand. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be rude. Episode 39. Inuzuka paused, dragged his exhausted body back to the house step by step. The muscles and bones of the whole body are in pain. It was the pain caused by the fierce resistance caused by Aoji after he tore off the mask of kindness. She didn't want to recall the rest of the story. Like a walking corpse, she closed the door, stripped off her clothes, went into the bathroom, turned on the shower, and washed herself with a cold jet of water. As if that would wash away all humiliation. After an incomparably long bath, she wrapped herself in a towel and looked in the mirror numbly. In the mirror was a face that was not very beautiful. Due to the high risk of occupation, people in the ninja world have always married early and had early children, so although their daughters are in their teens, Inuzuka is now only in his early 30s. However, due to years of eating and sleeping, she did not have time to pamper her skin. There are already some subtle wrinkles in the corners of the eyes. Of course, she is not the kind of person who cares about looks, and she will not take care of her skin when she has energy, but no matter what, she knows very well in her heart that she actually has no feminine charm. In the whole family, only his own daughter is a flower. Everyone else is like a dirt dog. So no matter what, Inuzuka found it difficult to understand. Why did Seiji do that kind of thing? And in front of the posthumous photo, is it because he has a terrible change in his bones? She remembered the images after it happened. Madame's resistance is really tenacious. Aoji put on his clothes with great satisfaction. This experience is really more enjoyable than I imagined. He did not use a demon passport. Just like what he did to the princess, what he wanted to enjoy was the process of being fiercely resisted. From now on, you will be my belonging. Aoji's gaze looked at Inuzuka, who was still paralyzed on the ground. Whether I still want to use it in the future, how to use it, and when to use it depends on my mood. But I have to make some demands on you. Whether I will put you in the future or not, you can no longer be approached by any man. Otherwise, I will slaughter the entire Inuzuka clan. When I killed Tunzang, my wife was also present, and I should have understood that I had this ability. Of course, my request is a bit excessive. But this is all out of a man's instinctive possessiveness. I believe you will be able to understand me, right? If you can accept these conditions. Aoji picked up the document and threw it at Inuzuka's paw, who was slumped on the ground. Then we can sign this contract now. If you reject my offer, then. Aoji squatted down with a relaxed look and whispered in Inuzuka's pa's ear, today will be the end of the Inuzuka clan. Inuzuka Claw shed 2 lines of tears again, you're not human at all. Didn't we say I was a bad person when we first met? Aoji smiled and patted Inuzuka's cheek, are you really so naive that you can define a person's good and evil just by appearance? Inuzuka Claws wept silently. She wanted to scold Aoji loudly, she wanted to tear the document to pieces, she wanted to get up and fight with him again. But in the end, she took over the document humiliatingly. Because since she had just carried the banner of the Inuzuka clan, she was no longer just living for herself, she was responsible for the safety and future of her clan. So she could only choose to endure. At the moment of signing his name, Inuzuka Claw once again burst into tears. Because she knows it. Just like the ninja dogs that he had domesticated, he was now domesticated by Aoji. And there was no chance of seeing the light of day again. Because the Inuzuka clan really has no ability to rebel against Aoji, and even if she exposes the ugly things that Aoji did to the outside world, it is estimated that no one will believe her words. Because Aoji's reputation for dealing with people has always been good. Moreover, he has a handsome face, a polite conversation, and of course he is very popular with girls, so how can he try to plot a middle-aged female ninja with a rough personality? Maybe others not only don't believe it, but also laugh behind their backs that she has taken advantage of Aoji. Therefore, the aggrieved Inuzuka Claw can only knock out his teeth and swallow into his stomach. But just as she felt ridiculous about her fate, her daughter's fate was inadvertently deflected. It was an afternoon 3 days later. Inuzuka is patrolling the streets. At a young age, she is not only an excellent veterinarian in the medical team, but also a member of the patrol, and it is also one of her duties to patrol the streets with ninja dogs. At this moment, she is in a very good mood. Because she had already heard the wind, the 3 generations of adults had adopted the suggestion of the powerful Lord Aoji, and was about to set up a new patrol department, which would absorb all the personnel of the garrison and the patrol. At that time, Inuzuka will naturally follow into the newly established department. The nature of the work though has not changed. But according to reliable news, salaries and treatment in all aspects will be significantly improved. Excuse me, Miss Patrol over there. Inuzuka took a relaxed step, suddenly heard a voice shouting at herself, turned her head to see that on the street corner stood a handsome young man, holding a short middle-aged man in his hand. The middle-aged man looks obscene and flustered, but he has never been able to break free from the shackles of young people. What's the matter? Inuzuka walked over. This man is a thief. The handsome young man was none other than Aoji. I have already arrested him and taken all the stolen goods, and now I want to leave the person to you to deal with. I see. Inuzuka nodded and took control of the middle-aged man, tying his hands firmly behind his back. Aoji took the opportunity to look at her carefully. Heroic face, crisp single ponytail, 2 strands of dark hair hanging from the forehead, and inverted triangle battle lines printed on the sides of the cheeks. Aoji's heart nodded with satisfaction. Yes, it is indeed a little colored, and it is worthy of the only flower of the Inuzuka clan. It's worth his attention. Episode 40. Thank you very much for your contribution to the security of the village. Inuzuka praised Aoji in an official tone, but the 3 ninja dogs that followed her let out a low hissing sound. Only in the absence of an order from the owner. They will only show their hostility, and will not directly pounce on them and bite. It seems they hate me a bit. Aoji smiled helplessly, is it because they think I'm a bad person? It may be that you accidentally got some smell. Inuzuka explained to Aoji while comforting the ninja, the dog's sense of smell is too sensitive, and if it is a pungent smell, or if there is the smell of other big dogs, it may be like this. That's the way it is. Aoji nodded. Okay, business matters, I have to leave first, let's see you later. Inuzuka mentions the kid who was tied up, and after a polite farewell, turns and leaves. Aoji glanced at her back after she was gone. Then he turned and walked to the flower shop of the Inoya family and bought a bouquet of orange stems with sincere meaning. Today it's still the fat woman watching the store. Aoji paid for the flowers, so he turned and walked to the Ichiraka ramen shop and asked out the calamus that was working. The shopkeeper let it go very happily. Since the last time his daughter went out with this boy, when he came back, his eyebrows were full of happy smiles, so that he knew at a glance that the relationship between the 2 young people had progressed. His daughter is finally no longer unrequited. It's just that since the relationship between these 2 people has been on the right track, it is necessary to find an opportunity to ask the specific situation of the other party. Of course, there is no need to worry about this. After all, the 2 young talents have just begun to communicate, and their parents are not very good at asking questions about the East and the West. And in any case, Aoji's character is certainly trustworthy. There is no doubt about this with the hand. At this time, Calamus is holding a bouquet of orange stems and happily walking with Aoji on the bustling street. The two were chatting all the way. Of course, it is mainly Calamus who provokes the topic, the things she likes, the interesting things of her childhood, the strange customers she meets when helping in the store. Maybe it's because of the gossipy nature of women. Perhaps because he wanted his lover to know more about himself, Calamus shared many small secrets in his heart. Aoji also gave the right response. In fact, he was not interested in the trivial things that Calamus said, and he listened to it from his left ear and sent it out from his right ear at the same time. At this time, he remembered a picture in his heart. That's the beautiful curve that she showed when she first saw Calamus at a Ichiraka ramen shop, when she bent down to clean up the table. Did you hear what I just said? When Calamus was talking excitedly, he suddenly felt that Aoji was a little absent-minded, and suddenly he snorted with some dissatisfaction. Is it because what I said is too boring? You just said you like light blue skirts, right? Aoji revealed a spoiled smile. I admit that I was a little distracted just now, because I think you are more suitable for lotus white, but I can't be sure of this, so I have a small idea. Any ideas? Calamus was indeed distracted. I'd like to buy you 2 dresses, one in lotus white and one in light blue, and then evaluate which one is more suitable for you. That's not good. Calamus said with some embarrassment, we have just begun to communicate, how can you spend money indiscriminately? Then you're dead wrong. Aoji revealed a smile, the more beautiful you dress, the more pleasing to my eyes. If I pick up the cheap, how can it be considered to be a random spending? Let's go to the clothing store. He involuntarily took Calamus's hand, and she obediently followed his steps. Of course she wouldn't break free of his palm. Aoji bought her more than 10 clothes in one go, different colors, different styles, and sent a burst of sweet words after she changed clothes, coaxing Calamus to be so happy that even her head was dizzy. After buying so many clothes, it seems that it is not suitable to bring back to the ramen shop. Carrying a large bag and a small bag, Aoji naturally proposed, or we will put it back in your house. Well. Calamus felt that what Aoji said was indeed reasonable, and at the same time, there was some self-blame in her heart, blaming herself for being too unrestrained, and she had let the other party buy so many things at the beginning of love, and she felt that this was not appropriate. However, the wood was already in a boat, and Calamus could only bring Aoji back to his home. Calamus and Hand Fight live in an ordinary apartment. Aoji looked around after entering the door and found that the house was very tidy. It seems that this woman is a very clean type. After putting away the large bag and the small bag, Calamus poured a glass of water for Aoji, cut a few pieces of fruit, and then sat down next to him with a red face. The atmosphere unconsciously becomes a little strange. A young man and woman, surrounded by no one in the environment, even if they are not lovers, the atmosphere is easy to change the taste. Besides, Aoji and Calamus are in the process of dating. And bringing a boy into his own home can be a special signal in itself. Calamus thought about this in hindsight. Her face soon turned crimson. Because Aoji had quietly made some small moves, and her heart did not feel very resistant. If it was too much behavior, of course, it would not work, but if it was only a little intimacy. Calamus silently accepted Aoji's move. And he didn't have to go any further. Because he knew that Calamus was not mentally prepared to let him do something wrong. Although pulling out the demon passport will solve everything. But that destroys the umami taste of the food. Therefore, in order to enjoy the original shyness of Calamus, Aoji did not take out the demon passport, but after a seemingly heartfelt sweet remark, he made a very gentlemanly resignation. He wants to save the opportunity to eat noodles for the next visit. Because, once alive. Cooked twice.